One.
Okay, I want to talk about some appropriate responses to the 4 questions on the article 2 Days with No Phone. The first question is, what effect might too much texting have on a student's relationship? You will notice that this sample started with the restatement of the question. Okay, and so we have the effect that too much texting may have on a student's relationship is, okay, that's our purple goal. We're going to go ahead and check that off down there in the box. And then you'll see that the teens aren't speaking with each other or with others in person enough. Now I want to show you the actual article because this is going to be a paraphrase, and I want to show you how it's a little different. Paraphrasing is when you take something the author says and you just say it in your own words. So if you look at this right here, that teens text so much they don't spend enough time talking with others face to face. So that is very similar to what I put, but I put teens aren't speaking with others in person enough. Okay, so it's a slight variation on that. I also went on to include an additional text evidence. You do not have to at this point in the school year, but it never hurts, but you only have to have one. But I went on to say this could hurt their relationship with friends and family because I wanted to make sure I drew that connection to this is how it can negatively affect relationships, okay? And then finally, so that was my providing text evidence. And again, I had a quote and a paraphrase, and you only need one. My last one I wrapped up with according to the author, Sarah Jane Bryan. So I gave credit to my author a text. Last, what I want to do is go back and check my conventions. Okay. So I'm going to circle the beginning capital, circle the ending punctuation, and also circle the capitals in my author's name. Now you will notice that this is a 2-sentence response, so you can go ahead and circle your appropriate punctuation and capitalization if you like. Probably a good idea at the beginning to go ahead and do that. So then I have properly checked my conventions and everything's underlined in color, so I'm ready to go on to the next question. This question is very straightforward. These are very right there questions, which means that your text evidence is going to actually end up being your answer as well. They're not deep thinkers, and that is so that you can concentrate on the process rather than the actual answers. So this one, you'll also notice that instead of starting with restating the question, I actually started with my green goal, and the article 2 Days with No Phone states on page 5 that is actually giving credit to the author. Now, it is okay if you don't follow this in order as long as you have all components. Ideally, when you're a writer, you kind of blend things together and synthesize things, and it really is beautiful writing. But for now, we're just kind of going in order if that's what you need. You'll notice here, then it goes on to say that sleep texting is. Well, that is a very simple restatement of my question. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. So the next thing I need to do is provide text evidence. So I kind of put when teens send, and again, I took text filled with nonsense words when they don't wake up all the way. If I look back at my passage and I scroll down a bit, it says that when teens send text filled with nonsense words when they don't wake up all the way. So you'll notice I took that almost word for word, and that's why it has the author's quotes. Okay, so I've given my text evidence. I don't have to explain my reasoning as of right now, so my next thing to do is conventions. And again, beginning capital, ending punctuation, and then you have to circle the capitals in either your reference to the title or the author. And in this case, it would be the title. It is 1 sentence, so I don't have any further additional ones. Mark it off, and I am good to go to my next question. Okay, question 3 says, which student, Francesco or Kenny, is more likely to text less in the future than they did before the experiment? Explain your reasoning. Now, this restatement of your question is going to be very similar to the restatement that you'll do in your English class where you embed your answer into your restatement. Okay, so if you look here, I'm going to say, I believe that Francesco. Now, Francesca is actually my answer, okay, which is not technically my purple, but it just makes sense to embed this within the actual restatement. So I believe that she will text less in the future than she did before the experiment. Now, that was already a really long sentence, so I stopped there, and I gave, and this will be kind of starting with where we explain, okay, which we're not quite there yet, but this little I predict that, or when I'm trying to explain why I chose my answer, and then I use evidence, that's really getting into the explain part, okay? Now, on page 6 of 2 Days with No Phone is my giving credit to the author of text. I already have my restatement. Okay, she said, I loved it. Now you will notice that I have the page number when I have the quotation. That's very important. She said, I loved it. Okay, and then I went on. Now I could technically be done because I did include a quote, but I feel like it's just missing something without that last paragraph. So then I went on to explain that she also decided to continue the experiment because she felt smarter and healthier. Now you'll notice that's kind of an orange and red combination. And again, proper MLA format has you giving the author and the page number that you found that quote. But I want to show you what it actually looked like in the text. On that final page, she said, let's see, she said smarter and healthier, which is what I put into quotation marks, but I didn't actually copy this whole thing. I think I'll be so much smarter because it didn't kind of work in my sentence. So I kind of changed it a little bit. I just said she also decided to continue because she felt, quote, smarter and healthier. So you're going to learn as you go along and advance in your writing that you can kind of do little combinations that way. Okay, again, I don't have to explain the reasoning. So I've done everything except for my conventions. So I've got my beginning, I've got my end, I have my proper nouns, okay, I've got my sentence end, I've got my capital, I have my title of my article, okay, and then I have all kinds of things going on here, right? So that is done, and everything's underlined in color. I'm ready to go on to my last and final question. Okay, a teen checks his phone every 5 minutes and his mood changes when he doesn't have access to his phone. Could he have an addiction to his phone? Now, if we were to actually restate this using all of the important words, which would include checking his phone, mood changes, and does he have an addiction? That could be a very lengthy sentence. So you could do that. What I chose to do is I looked at these two specific symptoms that they included, and I looked back at my article to this section where I had this picture, and I noticed that those are all, here it lists strong cravings to pick up your phone. Okay, talked about checking it every 5 minutes. And then this feeling anxious, lonely, or worried. And I know that when you feel anxious, lonely, or worried, that's kind of moody. You're not really in a good mood, okay? And this would be every 5 minutes. So I thought, gosh, I'm going to embed the text within my restatement. So I went ahead and I did state my answer. I do believe, okay, just like English, you're going to actually put your answer within your restatement. I do believe that the teen could have an addiction. Okay, an addiction to what, you might ask? Well, I wrote down here, both of these symptoms were experienced by the teen in this question. I do still need this because have an addiction to what? Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola. I have to make sure that I specify what he has an addiction to. But I did it at the end because, okay, I'm going to go ahead and check that off as missing, and then as I identify my text, it'll be a little bit more clear. Here we have on page 6, Sarah Jane Bryan states that one of the signs of addiction, okay, and she said feeling anxious, lonely, or worried. Again, I took it right out of that bubble. Then because I have another one, I had 2 days with no phone. Also lists strong cravings to pick up your phone and check messages. And again, guys, I had that page number because it's a direct quote. Okay, they list that as a sign of addiction. Okay. So as you can see, my evidence actually spoke to what he was addicted to. So these both, this point, strong cravings and feeling anxious, spoke to the mood changes and the checking his phone. And that's why at the end, I was able to put this, both of these symptoms were experienced by the teen in this question. Okay, so I provided my text evidence, I've given credit to my text, I don't have to explain right now. I'm going to my pink goal. I have my capital at the beginning, period at the end. I have several sentences, but the first thing I'm going to worry about are the capitals in my title. And I believe, let's see, I did about the author's name. That's what I want you guys to worry about first. Then if you desire, you can go back and at first. Now, adding punctuation in capital letters is not a problem for you. You can probably skip this, but it does get a lot to look at. So that's my fourth question, and keep at it. It's going to get better, I promise. And we've done this, and we're good to go. Have a good day.